Hi everyone, Hadefemi Great here again, and as the title suggests, I believe we have an idea of what this video is going to be about. So over the couple of months, I left what I was supposed to do with the game, and I thought, I could improve Juice.io. So before I get into the whole I could improve, let's quickly get an update in regards to why I even tried to improve Juice.io and what the intention is. So back on the screen, we have what Juice.io is. And if you don't know, Juice.io is a pet project I created in order to allow users to create APIs and allow them focus more on the front end. Well, that's the intention, but in regards to what we have now is still a basic implementation of it. So all you could still do is create a very little API stuff and use that to fit into your front end. But now you have the capability to focus more on designing stuff, because at the end of the day, it's what people see that entice them into staying in a website before they actually test the functionality in the first place. So that's what Juice.io tends to solve. It's not so deep into it. The intention was to go deep eventually, but I quickly realized that we are kind of shifting away from the usual way of doing things. While people are still studying software engineering and we can still learn coding, AI and LLM has kind of made that process a bit tiring, because you feel, okay, I'm still a junior developer. This stuff I'm trying to create now, AI can just create it within 2 seconds. So who is going to take note of me? And I felt the same thing with Juice.io, because let's try to sign in and see what it actually does. Okay, we are signed in and we have a couple of projects already. And if we access the projects, or rather, before we actually access the project, let's go back to the home. So the initial flow is that you can either create your projects manually. So if you want to do everything from scratch, which is actually a bit pain up in the ass. And the second flow, which would have made a lot of sense, is the AI creation. However, for this is still kind of limited. It can't really cover the context of what you provide for it. So even though you wanted to create maybe a social media platform for you, at the end of the day, it's only going to create the basic parts for it. So you still have to go back into the whole system and manually make updates, which is an issue in itself. So let's take a look at an existing project, for instance. So we have this blog project here. For you to be able to do stuff here, you need to have some knowledge of Django itself. Because, for instance, once you access the project, you are presented with apps, which is more like a concept of Django. An app is meant to be like a grouping for related parts of your Django project. So, for instance, we have the blood app in this case, and the blood app is meant to manage everything related to blood processes within your Django project. The same thing with users. There within an app, we have the individual structure, which is the models, realizers, and all. These are kind of specific to Django. And we are in a world right now where people are not patient enough to learn, and it's not their fault, because what you are trying to learn, an AI can do it so easily. So people are shifting away from trying to learn all these things, and instead they want to create stuff that made them so obviously noticeable. So that's the whole idea that came to me, and realized, okay, we need to move away from this approach with Juice.io. So again, this brings us back to the title of the project, Vibe Code. So when I created this project, it was majorly done to brute force. It was majorly my work. However, we're in a world where we feel AI can handle most of these tasks, and people call it vibe code. So I decided to vibe code my way into creating the future proven Juice.io. And here is the output of that. So you have the login screen. Let's log in here. Okay, everything seems to be going fine, as you can see, and we have the kind of UI that the LLM has kind of made the standard of trying to create things everybody can use these days. And the intention here is that you can describe what you want to create. And once that is done, rather than trying to understand Django to make modifications, you can still tell it the modifications you want to make. Maybe after testing and realize, okay, this is not behaving like you want. That's the intention. So let's actually put this into practice. Let's create a task management system. So for now, we can only choose between 4O mini or 4O. Let's use 4O. So yeah, this is going to create the regular flow where you ask a question, it's going to process your request and give you an answer. And I think from experience, this takes a while. So let's wait for it. All right, so the process is done. As you can see, we have the title updated, we have the summary updated. You can either read the summary from here or here. So let's take a look at what the system has done. So design the API endpoint for a task management system, including capabilities for creating, updating, and deleting tasks, as well as assigning tasks to users and setting deadlines. Yeah, so this looks like a robust flow. So the intention here is that once you have this, you can deploy to tests, test it and see if it goes well. So for instance, maybe the first flow is what you want. However, if you tested and you realize, okay, there's still some stuff you need to improve, you can come here to actually prompt it to do it. So for instance, let's quickly check what the structure of the project looks like. So here's the structure of the project. We have user field, we have the project, we have tasks. Yeah, this can still be improved, but we get the idea. And let's ask it to give us the information of the task model. So technically, from what it's doing now, you can still observe that even though it's now easier to make change or make inquiry, you still need to have some knowledge of coding and maybe Django in this case to understand what is going on, but not as technical as what we had before. So here are the fields within task. So we have the title, description, due date, status, priority, assigned to. So for instance, we can see that we don't have the author field here. So it means who created the task. We can ask it to add that. So let's see what this is going to be. So it's updating the specification. So we get the gist. So you'll be wondering, if I was able to create this with vibe coding, then I guess the whole buzz about vibe coding seems to be positive then. And that's the issue. I was able to create this because these are the basic part. These are the straightforward parts. And vibe coding will be able to handle the straightforward parts well. The issue is going to come in when you are dealing with the complex parts. And yeah, the issue came in when I was trying to deploy to tests. I was able to create this basic patch, I think within a few days. I think maximum was 5 days. However, after then, I tried to implement the deploy to tests. I think I've been on it for 3 weeks and it was unable to do it. And I regard myself as knowing how to prompt these things adequately. I give it little context, I give it adequate context, and in all of this, it's unable to implement the deploy to test. And I've came to the conclusion that while vibe coding is adequate for little tasks and basic ones, it's not okay when you are trying to create projects that are a bit complex, especially projects like this. This is not even meant to be too complex, but I believe you get the idea. So what I'm saying in essence is that NLMs, AI are going to be tools for us. You still need to know the nitty-gritty. You still need to know the bedrock of whatever coding language you are dealing with. And I think I mentioned in the last episode that we are not going to get to AGI, at least not with the resources we have at this moment. The best we can do is to have specialized system, which is something I have taken note in this case. So we are going to be building majorly on LLMs. LLMs will be doing the major work. What we'll be doing on our side is to make it specialized, because in this case, we are specializing for API creation, so we know the necessary things to do to bring out good results. In this case, we're also trying to tell you that, okay, you don't have to validate your work. We've already done that because we are specializing on it. So there we have it. And some of you might be wondering, did it actually update the author field? Because according to the summary here, design API, this just looks like the initial information. Well, we can verify that by copying this and pasting to check if the author field is now within the task model. So we have title, and as we can see, that didn't work as well. Yeah. So yeah, the plan here now is that I will be going back to the dashboard. I'm going to be restarting this because the code generated by this is not maintainable. That's another major problem with type coding. When you have an issue, it's going to be very difficult to manually go in and make changes because it's writing a lot of gibberish, a lot of things that you don't really need. I'll be going back to the drawing board. I'm going to be recreating this from scratch. I am going to reuse most of what we have here. We got the idea already, so it's going to be easier to fast track and build what we need to do. So stay tuned for a better version of Juice as we'll be pushing this in the coming months. And yeah, if you enjoy videos like this, kind of discussing the experience of what we are going through in the real world, you can leave a comment telling me about that. And also, releasing videos have been kind of difficult these days because, again, I'm more of the teacher type. I tend to want to teach. However, with AI, people are not even willing to learn again because, like I said, it's not their fault. When you're starting from scratch, it's quite difficult when there are tools out there that can easily do what you're trying to learn. So yeah, we will try to adjust to create more videos eventually. Can't promise anything. And for the Contra game I was trying to create, I got deviated. Sorry about that. I'm still going to come back to that eventually. So yeah, if you want to boost the morale to encourage us to do more, even though AI is taking everything, you should definitely leave a like and subscribe to the channel then. Well, that's it for now. I'll see you in the next video where probably we've done something else in regards to Juice, or maybe we've continued the work with Tantra. Well, that'll be all, and bye for now.